Well, there has been more embarrassment for the government now after Fali Nariman, top jurist and head of the Lokpal Search Committee, KT Thomas, has now pulled out of the panel. The BJP has hit out at the government over this latest development.
लोकपाल के मामले में फली नरीमन जस्टिस ये बहुत ख्यातकीर्त जो वकील है, फली नरीमन जो विधिज्ञ है, उन्होंने पहले ही कहा कि ये बकवास है कांग्रेस का एक तरह से, कि ये जिस तरह से सिलेक्ट कमेटी और ये जो कर रहे हैं ऐसी कोई प्रोसेस नहीं होती है और नहीं होनी चाहिए। उन्होंने खुद को अलग कर दिया। आज दूसरे जस्टिस केटी थॉमस, उन्होंने भी उसमें से वो खुद को अलग कर दिया। अब इनकी कमेटी धरे की धरे रह गई। इनकी कमेटी अब धरे की धरे रह गई और लोकपाल के विषय में अब सरकार पूरी तरह से एक्सपोज हो गई। वो जाने से पहले, सत्ता छोड़ने से पहले कैसे तैसे लोकपाल नियुक्त करना चाहते थे ताकि आगे उन्हीं के केस जाने हैं सब। तो उसमें कोई थोड़ा सा उनको राहत मिलेगी इस अपेक्षा से वो सब कर रहे थे। उनका भांडा फूट गया और ये भी साफ हो गया कि इस तरह से अंधाधुंध जो काम कर रहे कांग्रेस, ये किसी को भी पसंद नहीं है।
Well, Anup now joins me on the phone line. Anup, this is not just embarrassment for the government, but also it puts a huge cloud really on the selection process that has been adopted by the government. Anup? We seem to have lost that audio connection, but also joining me on the phone line is Meenakshi Bhanja. Meenakshi, this move, of course, causing a great deal of embarrassment to the government, but it also does put a cloud really on the process that has been adopted by the government.
Well, yes, absolutely, and therefore we are seeing the principal opposition party really tear into the government, and undoubtedly with earlier Fali Nariman deciding to quit the panel, and now former Supreme Court Judge Honorable Justice KT Thomas, this has come as something which will, in days to come, for sure cause furthermore embarrassment for the government, because this was something which was a very ambitious project, so to speak, of the government, and they had roped in jurists of the likes of Mr. Fali Nariman and former Supreme Court Judge KT Thomas, and now the two eminent members of this panel really backing down, raising aspersions, doubts on the process of selection itself, is something which perhaps will leave a lot of room for introspection insofar as the government is concerned. On the other hand, so close to election year, this will be great opportunity for the opposition to constantly point out the fact, as we have seen on earlier occasions, Arun Jaitley, Sushma Swaraj, now Kiran Bedi also coming out and being so openly critical of the so-called haste on the part of the government as the opposition is interpreting it to get through with these ambitious projects. Back to you.
Right now, Meenakshi, how do you see this going forward now? Do you feel that the government is likely to brazen this also out? Because the last time, Fali Nariman resigned, they said that the process will still move ahead.
Well, that will be something which will be very interesting to watch in the days to come, because the big question here would be, after having somebody with the stature of Fali Nariman really come out and openly be critical of the selection process, who can the government find to fill his shoes? Because let's face it, he is known to be a person with great eminence. He is somebody who is widely respected for his views, and also the fact that he is somebody who's known to be a person of such great integrity, and for him to have come out and expressed his reservations about the selection process is something which perhaps will do the government good to reflect on, rather than try and get somebody to fill his shoes in haste, which the government will find great difficulty in doing.
Right, Meenakshi, do stay with us. We've got some more breaking news coming in on this. Well, Times now has accessed the details of the letter that has been written by KT Thomas to the Prime Minister, saying that the search panel is not in a position to make independent decision. That's why he's opting out. Joining me on the phone line also is Pradeep Pillai. Now, this, of course, is more embarrassment clearly for the government. In his letter, he says that the panel is not in a position to make an independent decision, and that's why he's opting out. Elaborate for this what he means.
Well, he is of the stance that if there is a search panel and over and above that there is a selection committee, and if the search panel comes up with a panel of potential Lokpal appointees, the search committee has the power either to accept it or reject it and come to a conclusion of its own. So the argument of Justice K.T. Thomas is that in case there is a selection committee, why do you have an extra search panel? And according to him, it's a waste of time and money. And he says, does it make sense for me to travel all the way from Kerala to Delhi only to be part of a search panel, not a selection committee whose recommendations may or may not be accepted? And he thinks it's a waste of time and money as far as the selection of the Lokpal goes. Back to you.
So, Pradeep, in his letter, he clearly states that he believes that the government is not really letting the search panel work in an independent manner, and that the search panel will actually pick out names from the list that has been already prepared by the government?
Yes. What his argument is that, first of all, the government will first give out a list of names. Then the search panel goes about coming to a conclusion of its own after the search and selection process. And then this entire thing is again handed over to another selection committee who would make a final decision as to who should be made the Lokpal. Now, this whole process, he says, does not give any actual independent powers to the search panel, though such a panel has been constituted with the intention of finding the most suitable person to be heading the Lokpal.
So, in a sense, he's saying that the search panel that has been constituted by the government is a farce.
Well, in not so many words, when we quizzed him about the ideological differences, he tried to mellow it down, saying that he doesn't have any ideological issues. But the fact remains that once a search panel is selected, is appointed, and the search panel goes about the process, as you rightly said, of coming up with the recommendations. And this whole thing goes back to the selection committee, which may or may not accept the recommendations. Then he says, doesn't make much of sense in wasting time and money. So this is what he is trying to tell us, this whole process and whole machinery of a search panel is a farce.
Well, Pradeep Pillai reporting on this. Thank you for joining us.